many of you here recognize the name Robin Williams? Can I see a show of hands? Robin Williams. Anyway, Robin Williams, for those who don't know, was a very popular actor and comedian. I think I was still a little boy when I first saw him on TV. I will I'll be revealing how old I am when I'm going to mention the movie, the show, Mork and Mindy. You don't remember that? It's like Mork was an alien, and then I don't really remember. But he was really on TV, and when I was still, I think grade 1. I think many of you were not born yet, especially the millennials. They were not born yet. But anyway, some of you might know Dead Poets Society, Good Will Hunting, Good Morning Tokyo. But there were some movies that he starred in, and there were some more popular movies. And what I'd like to mention here is that he was a very successful actor. Whatever he set his mind to do, he was able to achieve. So he won an Academy Award for comedy, and he also wanted to rise to the top of his career, not in a comedy genre, but like a formal, serious kind of theme, and he did. So he wanted to raise a happy family, he did. He wanted to have more money than he could spend, he did. He achieved it. And he was loved by millions of people around the world. Not liked, but loved. People loved him. He was so funny, he could make people laugh, and a lot of people really liked him and loved him. He made them happy. And you would think that this person had it all. Parang fame, meron siya. Money, he had money, all the money. Achievements, he rose to the very top of his profession. Academy Award winner, best actor, best picture, a lot of awards. He certainly had a lot of respect and a lot of adulation, adoration from fans around the world. You mention his name, people know Robin Williams. That's why it was a shock to the world, where 5 years ago, in August 11, 2014, he got a belt and hanged himself in his room. He committed suicide to the very shock and horror of his wife and children, son. I don't know if it's more than one. But his family was really distraught, heartbroken, and shocked when they found out that he had killed himself. Now, that's not something that is kind of unusual, because even lately we have had report of other people like Anthony Bourdain, Kate Spade, other people who seemingly were successful. But then, you will understand, bakit nila ginawa yun? It's like they had it all. It's like I would kill to be in his position. I would want to be in that position. To really have everything, and have the fame, and the lifestyle, and the riches, and the money. There is, some of you will also remember the name, or know the name, Anthony Robbins. Tony Robbins, you might know him. A motivational speaker, popular actor. He's an author, speaker, motivational speaker. Anyway, he knew a lot of billionaires around the world. And he said that many of these billionaires have miserable lives. Not all, not everyone who has money is happy. Some of us think that if I can only have more money, I will be a happier person. Or if I can have more possessions, if I can have more success, I will be a happier person. But do you know that according to the research, success does not lead to happiness? We all think that it does. We all think that if you have just money and you have fame, it will automatically lead you to happiness. Unfortunately, the research shows it's the opposite. The real research and the science, they show that happiness leads to success. It's not the other way around. Success doesn't guarantee you are going to be happy. There are people who have everything in life, and they still find a way to make themselves miserable. But there are people who don't have as much, but they are more happy. And so, I'd like to start with that. There are two skills we need to master in life to have an extraordinary quality of life. The two skills are the science of achievement, which people call success, and number two is more important, which is the art of fulfillment, which is happiness. Many people focus on the first one, the science of achievement, how to be successful, how to follow your goals, how to work hard, how to hustle, how to really be on the top of your career. But then without the second one, which is the art of fulfillment, you will still commit suicide. Even if you have achieved, you have success, you reach the top. But if you don't know the second, which is a more important skill, which is the art of fulfillment, the happiness will lead you to failure. Happiness or success without fulfillment or with happiness is the ultimate failure. Success minus happiness or fulfillment is the ultimate failure. So we should not be aspiring for just success. We should aspire for both success and happiness, or how to achieve and also how to be fulfilled, and so that we can really achieve an extraordinary quality of life, which everybody wants. I think all of you want that, right? It's different for everyone. Some people would like to have a house with a nice garden. Some people want to raise a beautiful family with many children. Some would like to write a poem or a novel. Some would like to have a closer, more intimate relationship with God. Whatever the goal is, we all have different ideas of what constitutes a great life, or a good life, or the best life that we could possibly have. But we need to master these two skills. And this afternoon, I would like to focus on the second one. Okay? The second one, which is the art of fulfillment. Because that's where many people go the wrong way. There are a lot of books about success, and I'm not an expert on that. There are other people who are more successful. There are more people who are more accomplished, they have achieved more, and they are more qualified to talk on that subject. In my case, I'm not going to talk about the first one. There are so many authors about that. I'm going to focus on the second one, which is the art of fulfillment. About how to achieve true fulfillment, so that when you reach the top, you're not going to end up killing yourself. When you have everything, when you have everything going for you, you're not going to reach for your belt or your rope and then hang yourself in your room. Because that's really happening to many people who have money in the bank, they have the adulation of fans, they have everything supposedly, except they were not able to make themselves happy. Like Robin Williams, he was able to make millions of people happy except himself. Everybody's happy except himself. Now that is so sad. If you're able to make everyone happy, but you're not able to make your own self happy. It's like success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. So let's not just focus on that thing. No, that's something that we need to understand. Real wealth is not only financial. Many people think wealth is about money. But real wealth is emotional, it's psychological, and it is spiritual. If you really want to be truly wealthy, wealthy in so many ways, it's not only the money part. Most importantly, it's the feeling. Actually, when people say, I want to be rich, it's not really the paper bills that they really want. That too, yes, they need that. But it's the feeling that they get once they have the money. For example, what does money do for you? It makes them feel more happy, it makes them more secure, less stressed about bills. Maybe have more peace of mind, or to be able to have that good feeling of being able to support your family, to be able to help them. It's like when you're able to help someone, you're happy that you're able to help someone. And that's what people want when they say, I want to have financial security, I want to have financial independence, or not to be dependent on people always, like everything, or maybe to have the less stress na all the creditors are just calling and hounding you every day, oh, yung utang mo, ganun. The headache, always being constantly, reminded, oh, Kailan? Sabi mo, promise mo, ganito. So we just want that stress to go away. So it's mostly the feeling that we crave. The feeling that we want to be able to be free of that. But this afternoon, I'd like to focus on 3 things. You know, it's just 3 things. And I'd like to call it this way. If you want a title, How to be Unshakable. 3 keys to an extraordinary quality of life. Okay? How to be unshakable. The 3 keys to an extraordinary quality of life. And they all begin with the letter G. Tatlo lang ha. 1-hour sermon. I hope I can finish it in less than 1 hour. Tatlo lang. It all begins with letter G. To have that good life, to have that extraordinary quality of life, I'd like only to focus on 3 things. And you don't have to take 7 points, 12 points, 10 points, 3 points only. And I'd like you to remember these 3 points because these 3 points are important. And if you master them, you will be a happier, more fulfilled person after this 1 hour. After 1 hour, that's my promise to you. If you're going to listen carefully and take notes and turn to the scriptures I'm going to show you, you will eliminate 80% of your unhappiness. If you apply it. But if you won't apply it, pareho pa rin. Nothing will happen. You have to change for your life to change. And the mindset is very important. So are you ready? I hope you are. The first thing, point number 1, always be growing. So that's the first G. Do you know that many people set goals, but once they achieve that goal, they become bored? They become bored, like, okay, I achieved that. What's next? Okay, for example, I want to graduate high school. Graduate na ako. Ano sunod? College. College, graduate. Okay, ano sunod? Trabaho. Trabaho, okay, may trabaho na. Sunod. Mag-asawa. Oh, okay, may asawa. Okay, sunod. Magkaanak. Okay, sunod. Magkaapo, ganun. After every level, there is something else. And if you kind of stop there, it's like, if you stop making progress in your life, the unhappiness begins to set in. Because you think, okay, I've achieved that. What next? Okay, I want to climb Mount Apo. Okay, climb Mount Apo. Okay, I achieved that. What else? Climb Mount Pinatubo. Whatever, Mount Mayon. To the crater. So whatever it is, once you achieve that goal, then you need something else to really boost you up to the next level. And so what really helps us to achieve fulfillment in our life is to be in a constant state of growth. Once you stop growing, you start dying. Anything like even a fruit, if it's overripe, it's actually going to decay. So the moment we stop growing, the moment we stop learning, the moment we stop improving or sharpening ourselves, becoming better people, we are going to deteriorate. That's the reason why we have always to keep growing in our mind, even just 1% or a fraction of 1%. Basta ganito, no? Always be better than the person you were yesterday. If you're not better than the person you were yesterday, you will be unhappy. You will really surely be unhappy. If you are getting worse by the day, like you're like this, tomorrow you're worse, the next day you are even worse than the day you were yesterday, you will be virtually guaranteed to get happy. Happiness, if you're going to only summarize in one word, it's progress. If you are getting better, even just a little bit, even just a tiny little bit, being more productive, being able to save a little more, being able to resist yourself, sometimes you're like impulsive, want to spend money like that, and then you're able to control yourself a little bit better. You achieve more, like you're more self-disciplined as a person, or more hardworking. Maybe you get up a bit 15 minutes earlier than the previous day. Instead of sleeping in, being lazy, you are more hardworking, you are more diligent in your work, you put more effort into your job and control your urges. Then if you do that consistently, over time, you're going to be happier. You don't have to change yourself overnight. It's hard to change yourself overnight. But little by little, constant small changes consistently over time, you will be a different, totally different person. So, if I'm going to ask you, I will give you a choice. Tomorrow is September, right? And September has how many days? 30 days. I'll give you a choice. I'm going to give you 1 centavo tomorrow that will double every day for 30 days. Or, I will give you 3 million today. You choose what you want. 1 centavo that will double every day for 30 days until September 30. Or 3 million or 3.5 na lang. 3.5 million today. How many would choose A, the 1 centavo? How many would choose the 3 million or 3.5 million? Boy. I'm not sure, no? You're not sure. So like, I don't know what, I don't know which choice is the right one. Just take a guess lang. Take a guess. Is it A or B?
A.
Are you sure? 1 centavo lang ah. 1 centavo. Tapos 30 days lang. 30 days. It will double every day. So 1 centavo, the next day it will be 2 centavos. The next day it will be 4 centavos. And then it will be 8 centavos. And then 16 centavos. At the end of September, whatever the total is, I'll give that to you. Yung B, 3 million, right off the bat. Bang, you know, all at once. Does it change your mind still? Okay, maybe you're computing. Anyway, I've not run the numbers. If you chose A, you have made the right choice. Because at the end of 30 days, that penny or that centavo will become 5.3 something million. It will be more than the 3 million. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. But the thing is, the growth in the very first maybe 20 to 25 days is very slow. As if walang progress. It's like, maliit naman. After 20 days, maliit pa rin. After 25 days, maliit pa rin. The last 3 days or 4 days, doon siya gumaganyan. It's a hockey stick. The doubling becomes greater in the last few days of September. Mga day 27, 28, 29, pag-double yan. So 2.5, 5, even over 1 day, it will just double. So the lesson here is that the consistent investments in your own growth will compound over time. So you might think that what you are doing is useless. Napapagod ako dito, I'm wasting my time, I'm wasting my energy. There's no growth, I cannot see anything happening. It's the same thing with that centavo. When it doubles, it's just so small. But you continue doing it over time. Just don't quit. Continue it, don't quit. Many people, the reason why most people are not successful is they quit. When they could have had it, no, they quit so soon. And so the reason why they don't achieve the success they want is because they quit and they don't persist. So we need to really be encouraged that we need to always be growing even a little bit every single day. Galatians chapter 6 verse 9. There's a passage here that the Apostle Paul wrote because this is so true with our life. And he uses an agricultural metaphor to mention this, to bring up the point here. Galatians chapter 6. In verse 9. But let's begin in verse 7. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, what he plants, that he will also reap. In other words, our results, the results that we get in life is directly proportional to the effort that we put in. If we put in a lot of effort, we're going to achieve a lot of results. And then, let's jump to verse 9. And let us not grow weary while doing good. For in due season, if we will reap if we do not lose heart. Now, I'd like you to remember that. The number one challenge for all of us is to get tired. Mapagod tayo. To grow weary and to be discouraged. to lose heart. What happens when you lose heart? You quit. What happens when you get tired? You quit. Parang wala ako nakikitang resulta sa lahat ng pagod ko. Sige ako trabaho, sige ako overtime, sige ako save, lately pa rin. I'm always doing this, what I need to do, yeah. But everybody wants instant millionaire, to get instant, to get rich quick. That's a myth. Gusto nila instantly, mayaman sila, no? Kaya di nagtataya sa loto, no? They want instant. They don't want to work, they don't want to wait, they don't want to be patient, they just want instant. But it doesn't work that way. Everything good that you'll ever get in life is a result of consistency. Boring, consistent effort. Every day that you continue on doing it, eventually you will reap if you don't lose heart. So what the Bible is saying here is do not be mocked, but do not be deceived. Do not be taken by people who promise you instant something. It will not happen. You have to have the consistency over time, and if you do not quit, you will receive the reward. Now, that's the reason why many people don't make it, because they are not self-disciplined. Ang kulang talaga dito sa Pilipinas, and not only in the Philippines but everywhere, universally is self-discipline. Most people lack self-discipline. That's the reason why most people are not successful. It takes discipline to make yourself do what you should do when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. It's easy to not do it, right? It's easy to do, it's easy not to do. And what do most people do? They don't do it. Because it's easy not to do. So, but we need to remember something, that we will never achieve the level of success that we want unless we are willing to grow a little bit every single day. Philippians chapter 3 verse 12. Philippians 3:12. Philippians chapter 3:12, it says here, not that I already attained, even Paul, he said, ako wala pa ako dun. I have not yet achieved perfection. I have not yet achieved maturity. I'm still a beginner. Paul saw himself as still in the progress, a work in progress. So should we. Not that I have already attained or I'm already perfected, but I press on. That means talagang continuous yung effort niya. I press on. That means he's consistent, that I may lay hold of that for which Christ Yeshua has also laid hold of me. Brethren, verse 12, I do not count myself to have apprehended. In other words, wala pa ako doon sa finish line. I am not yet finished. I am not yet done. I have not yet won. I have not yet overcome. But one thing I do, forgetting those things that are behind and reaching forward to those things which are ahead. We have to have that goal in front of us so that we will keep moving when it's very discouraging. If you don't have that goal and desire in front of you, you will quit. You will get tired. You will get discouraged. How many of you know what I'm talking about? You get discouraged. You know the goal is out there, but it's just too much work. And your mind, it's like, it's not worth it. Sige, ang pagod dito. Ang grabe ang pagod ko. Sige, kung sacrifice. Wala mang effect. And then we quit. We get discouraged. That's what Paul is saying. Do not grow weary. That's exactly what you should not do. Do not get tired. Because if you get tired, if you lose heart, you will not get your reward. So you continue on. You keep pursuing that. So it says, one thing I do, forgetting those things that are behind and reaching forward to those things which are ahead. I press on. I keep moving toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. So, don't grow weary in doing good. If you are doing what's right, and you know that you're doing the right thing, keep doing that. You just trust that what you are doing is the right thing, and you leave the results to God. The reward will come. You just have to get yourself on the game, and do not really think. It's like you plant a tree, or you plant a seed in the ground, and then every day you check it, you dig it. Wala pa man, tapos you cover it back. And then, hukayin mo ulit after 1 week. Ang bagal naman. You think that that seed is going to grow if you're always uprooting it every time, checking the growth and then putting it back, uprooting it again, transplanting it back. It will not grow, brethren. Hayaan mo lang. If you're going to disturb the process, you are not going to have maximum growth. Better just put it there and trust that if you do the cultivating, you do the watering, and God will give the growth sooner or later. So I know some of you know this, all of you know this, those of you who are in agriculture, and it's common sense. Okay, so one of the things that really stop us, brethren, is discouraging times. It's like you're hit suddenly. I mean, you're making progress, like you are consistent, but then boom, you just hit by a trial, and then it's like you don't know what to do now. It just affects your game, and you cannot anymore be consistent. Maybe a sickness, some loved one dies, you lose something precious to you, and then you lose motivation. If you know what I'm talking about, you just lose motivation. I mean, you were moving forward, and then bam, something happens in life, and then you say, I quit. I've had it. It's enough. Ayoko na. I don't want this kind of thing anymore. But let me share something with you. Instead of thinking that life is always happening to us, think about this. Life is always happening for us. Remember Romans 8:28. What does Romans 8:28 say? All things work together for good to those who love God and who are called according to His purpose. So instead of thinking life is happening to me, think life is happening for me. It's happening for me, including the trials, including the bad things that are happening. Even the most painful situations cause us to grow. Do you agree? The pain causes us to grow, to expand, to become deeper, to care more. It's like, how many of you know how another person feels if you have not gone through that kind of trial? You cannot feel what that person is feeling, and you cannot care if you were never in that situation. If you were not in a financial hardship, or if you were not in a relationship problem, you can never empathize with that person. But if you went through that, then you are a better counselor. You're a better friend. You can help them. You say, yeah, I went through this. Ganito yan. You can go through that. I went through that. And it's really unpleasant. It's a bad situation to be in. I know because I've been there. So even the bad situations help you to care more. And I'm sure that there are events in your life that you'd rather not go through again. How many of you know what I'm talking about? You'd rather not go back to that. I mean, that's it. I went through that once. Ayoko nang bumalik dun. I don't want to ever go through that again. But now, if you think about it, 5 to 10 years from now, when you look back on that situation, you're going to see a higher purpose in that. For example, when Joseph was sold as a slave in Egypt, when he was going through that trial, it was not fun at all. Being sold by your brothers, being put in a pit, and then sold in as a slave, you might think that that's the end of the world for you, right? This is the end of the world. I've been forgotten and forsaken by God. I'm serving Him, and He has completely turned His back on me. And then not only that, in Egypt, he was doing the right thing. He resisted the temptations of Potiphar's wife. And for doing the right thing, what did he get? A prison sentence for 13 long years. Is this what I get for obeying God? I did the right thing and then I'm in prison now. Do you think that he's thinking, yes, this is the right thing, that was the right decision? In his mind, he's probably thinking, sana, pinagbigyan ko na lang si Mrs. Potiphar. At least hindi pa ako makulong. Nag-enjoy pa ako. Diba? Humanly speaking, you might think, sana, pinatulan ka na lang. Kaysa naman paita anyway. You know, I'm here in the prison and I'm, you know, parang I'm rotting in this dungeon here. What am I doing here? But in all that time, he knew that that was the right thing to do. And notice, he did not get out after a year. He didn't even get out after 5 years. He did not get out after 10 years. But at the 13-year mark, Potiphar called for him and he was elevated to top 2, second in command over all Egypt. Do you think that Joseph looked back in his life and said, that experience I would rather not go through again, but that experience helped me to save these people here. He was able to empathize with the hardships of the people who were suffering from the famine. Kasi kung ano yan, from palace to palace and never went through the hardship, how can he empathize with people who were starving there? He knew exactly, because he was in the prison, in the very lowest of the lowest point. It reminds me of our national hero, boxing champion, Manny Pacquiao. He did not achieve status immediately, right? He was poor. And so, he knows what it was like to become really dirt poor. Sabi niya sa Senado yun, sabi niya, alam ko yung wala kong kinakain buong araw, the whole day. Kaya I can empathize with the poor. Sabi niya, yung mga programa para sa mahirap, because ako, dumaan ako dyan. So he was not always a millionaire. So whenever we go through a situation like that, let's look back. What is the purpose in this? What is the higher purpose in this? Life is working for you rather than it's happening to you. Let's remember that. I'd like to share a quote with you which I saw in Facebook, which I was quite inspired by. I'd like to share it with you. It's written by Kimberly Henderson. It goes like this. I would have pulled Joseph out of that pit, out of that prison, out of that pain. And I would have cheated nations out of the one God he would use to deliver them from famine. I would have pulled David out of Saul's spear-throwing presence, out of the caves he hid away in, out of the pain of rejection, and I would have cheated Israel out of a God-hearted king. I would have pulled Esther out of being snatched from her own family, out of being placed in a position she never asked for, out of the path of vicious, power-hungry foe. And I would have cheated a people out of the woman God would use to save their very lives. And I would have pulled Yeshua out of the cross, out of the road that led to suffering and pain, out of the path that would mean nakedness and beatings, nail and thorns. And I would have cheated the entire world out of a Savior, out of salvation, out of an eternity filled with no more suffering and no more pain. And oh friend, I want to pull you out. I want to change your path. I want to stop your pain. But right now, I know I would be wrong. I would be out of line. I would be cheating you and cheating the world out of so much good. Because God knows. He knows that the good this pain will produce. He knows the beauty this heart will grow. He's watching over you and keeping you even in the midst of this. And He's promising you that you can trust Him even when it all feels like more than you can bear. So instead of trying to pull you out, I am lifting you up. I am kneeling before the Father and I'm asking Him to give you strength, to give you hope. I'm asking Him to protect you and to move you when the time is right. I'm asking Him to help you to stay prayerful and discerning. And I'm believing He's going to use your life in powerful and beautiful ways. Ways that will leave you, your heart grateful and humbly thankful for this road you've been on. So brethren, that was inspiring, right? You could stop the pain, but you're going to be cheating yourself and someone else out of the growth that you're going to gain. Remember, brethren, if you want to be happy, if you want to have a fulfilled life, always be growing. Read, study, observe, but make progress even a little bit every day. Be better than the person you were yesterday. Pray and ask God to help you become a better person day by day. Learn something new, learn a skill, learn something, change a habit, a bad habit in yourself. Try to overcome your fear. Try to overcome an attitude that is maybe wrong. Try to become better slightly every single day. And I promise you, if you do this, you will be a happier person after this message is done. Are you willing to do that? That's the question. Many people are not willing. It's like, like, ganito talaga ako eh. Wala akong magawa, ganito talaga. If you are like that, if you think like that, you'll always be like that. Because we were never going to change if we do not make an effort. So, let's move on to second point. It also begins with letter G. Number 1 is, be always growing. Number 2 is, be always giving. Okay, maybe that didn't come as a surprise to you. If growth is a key to happiness, the second is to give. The secret to living is giving. There's no better authority than Yeshua when he said in Acts chapter 20, verse 35. Paul writes, I have shown you in every way by laboring like this, that you must support the weak. And remember the words of the Lord Yeshua when he said, it is more blessed, that's Makarios in Greek, which means it's more happy, it is more fulfilling to give than to receive. Do you agree? It is more fulfilling, it's more happy to give than to receive. You see, we are all driven, all of us, we are all driven by that desire to contribute. Why do you think many people go to abroad? Parang, di ba, to provide for their families a better life. And sometimes they will sacrifice a lot of things. Even sacrifice being away from for a long time. Or go through a lot of hardship, endure a job that they hate. Parang ganun, it's like, grabe naman tong boss ko, ang lupit, ang sweldo, ang liit. Pero tinitiis nila, bakit? To give a better life for their family. I mean, you can relate to this. You are going to endure all things for the sake of the people you love. You agree with that? So, when you are motivated by contribution, by giving, you have a meaning in your life. You have a purpose beyond yourself. It's like, you don't care if it's a fun job or not. So what if you kulang ka ng tulog, parang minsan nagtitipid ka, basta maginhawa yung family mo, no? They can have a better life. Maybe send them to a better school or feed them with a better food or whatever. So we have all that desire to contribute, and if we stop feeling that need for contribution, we can never feel truly fulfilled. Kung if we're just living for ourselves, what will make me happy? You're going to be unhappy. The best way to be happy is not to look for that. Focus on something bigger than that. And then it will come to you when you are not looking for it. Remember what Winston Churchill said. You make a living by what you get. You make a life by what you give. Again, Winston Churchill, a famous British statesman, and I love this quote. It's one of my favorites. You make a living by what you get. You make a life by what you give. So most of us focus on making a living, yung sweldo, no? But how do you really make a life? By what you give. The money that you earn from your job will not make you happy. No, I don't care how much money you get. If you are not able to contribute that to people that you care about and love, it will just be meaningless. Okay? And maybe eventually you're going to kill yourself once you reach the pinnacle of success, and then you're just living for yourself. There's nobody that you're making their life happier. You're not easing the burden on someone, maybe feeding a hungry child or a homeless family. If you're not able to do that, then it will be meaningless and pointless. So, I hope, brethren, that we're going to focus on giving. And that's the second key to an extraordinary life. The first one is growing. The second is giving. And number 3 is the most powerful one. I hope you're ready for this. Always be grateful. That's the third one and the most important one. I mean, the other two are important. But you know what? If you could if I could just share one point, just one, the last one, always be grateful. Even that will already make you happy 100 times, 100% more happy than you are now. Because like this, no, ganito yan kasi. John Templeton, which is a billionaire investor, said this: to overcome fear, the best thing to be is overwhelmingly grateful. If you want to overcome your fear, be overwhelmingly grateful. In fact, this is a truism. You cannot be grateful and angry at the same time. Have you tried that? To be grateful and angry at the same time, it's impossible. You cannot be grateful and fearful at the same time. It's impossible. If you want to have a miserable life, there's no better way to achieve it than to focus your mind on anger and fear. If you're angry and if you're afraid, you're going to be miserable. You're going to be unhappy. But if you want to have a happy life, if you want to live in a beautiful state, nothing works better than the focus on gratitude. Now, what do we mean beautiful state? Okay, there are two states of being. I think most of the day, you either feel one of two things. Okay, I'd like you to tell me, don't have to tell me, tell yourself, which are you most of the time? A, beautiful state, which means when you feel love, joy, gratitude. O, playfulness, ease, creativity, drive, caring, growth, curiosity, appreciation. You feel no fear and frustration. You're in harmony with your true essence. That's the first one. Second is the suffering state, which is when you are feeling stressed out, you're feeling worried, frustrated, angry, depressed, irritable, overwhelmed, resentful, or fearful. A or B? We will talk about more later. What determines whether you are in one or the other state? Most people will say it's external circumstances. Kung maganda ang circumstances ko, syempre beautiful state. If kung mapangit ang circumstances ko, syempre suffering state. No, it's not that way, brethren. The fact is, it is the result of where you choose to focus your thoughts. Whatever you focus on, that's what you will feel. I'd like you to stay with me because they might think, oh, totoo ba yan? An example, there was one plane, an international plane, Qantas Airways, that would travel from US to Australia for a 14-hour flight. And there's normally no internet. Imagine that, for 14 hours, you are cut off from Facebook. Hindi ka maka-like, maka-share. 14 hours, disconnected ka. Now, there was one time that a captain in one of these planes taking off from the US, going to Australia, he announced over the intercom, "Ladies and gentlemen, I have good news for you. We have high-speed internet in this plane. So you can connect to Facebook, you can surf all you want for 14 hours. Everybody was, yay! Jumping, cheering, clapping, everyone was happy. Because it's very rare that you have connection in plane, like from the Trans-Pacific, from US to Australia. So the plane began to take off. After 15 minutes, nawala yung internet. Everybody complained, everybody moaned, and almost everybody was unhappy. And said, ano ba to? We were ripped off, But just a few minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, they were not expecting internet. They were just content to be on the plane. Imagine sailing over high speed, across the globe in a very fast plane, getting from point A to point B. They never had an expectation of internet until the captain announced it. And when nawala yun, they felt very angry and frustrated, and they did not enjoy their flight. We should have internet, we should have internet. Pero kung hindi sinabi na merong internet, hindi man sila mag-complain. So parang their expectation was lifted up, and then it was brought down, and it was dashed. So their focus was, I should have this. They did not focus on, we are traveling at 600 to 700 kilometers per hour. It's a miracle, we are sailing past the sky at a fast speed, and we're going to get to our destination in a safe place. So they forgot about the supersonic miracle of flight, they just focused on what they did not have, which was the internet. Now, that is the thing. There's three things that we focus on which makes us unhappy. Loss, less, and never. If we focus on loss, less, and never, we will be unhappy, brethren. So what is your favorite flavor of suffering? Which energy-sapping emotion do you indulge in the most? Is it sadness? Is it frustration? Is it anger, despair, self-pity, jealousy, or worry? Remember, brethren, all the suffering that we experience is just the result of an undirected mind that is hell-bent on looking for problems. Again, let me repeat. The suffering that you feel is just a result of your mind hell-bent on looking for problems. Because if you're going to look for problems, you will always find it. You will always find it. Kung problema yung hinahanap mo, ang dami. Sobrang dami problema. It's the focus. It's where you focus your mind. Now, how are people who have a very bad situation in life able to have a beautiful state? They direct their focus somewhere else. They do not focus on what they are going to lose, what they have less of, or what they're going to never have. But they are focusing on what they can appreciate in the moment. So, iniiba nila yung focus nila. What can I be grateful about right now? Okay, walang internet, no? Okay, wala kang internet. Okay, what can I be thankful for? Well, at least we are safe. We're in this plane. We're going through the skies at a very fast supersonic speed. And then that is a miracle. 100 years, 200 years from before, they had to take the ship. And it's so slow. It will take them weeks or if not months to reach Australia from the US. But here, we will arrive in 14 hours. That's a miracle, and that's a blessing. We stop thinking of that blessing and we focus, walang internet. Grabe. Rip off ito. I'm paying good money for this flight and I don't have internet. But before it was announced, you were not expecting. So, again, it was really a matter of our own thinking. The thinking patterns of loss, less, and never is responsible for most of the suffering that we feel. It doesn't matter if it's real or imagined. It doesn't matter if it's real or imagined. How many of you have ever had a friend do something horrible to you? Or you thought he did something horrible to you? And then later on you realize it was just your thinking. Galit na galit ka sa friend mo because may ginawa siyang something terrible. And then when you got the facts, when you talk to others, you found out mali yung akala mo. And then remember the feeling change. Why were you angry before? And then why are you not angry after? Because the facts are still the same. But the meaning that you interpret about those was changing. At first you thought, he's a jerk. But then later on, oh, hindi pala siya jerk. So, it totally as a 180 degree. It was in your thinking. The thing your friend did was the same. But the meaning that you gave it was a different meaning. So that's the reason why it's imaginary, it could be real. They might not deserve the blame, but you just give it a meaning in our mind. So just remember, either you master your mind or your mind will master you. You control your mind or your mind will control you. The secret of living an extraordinary life is to take control of your mind, because it's only your mind that will make you either suffer or have a beautiful state. And that's the reason why in 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 18, let's look at 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 18. I think this is one of the most eye-opening passages of Scripture. When Paul writes, rejoice always. Para sa niya, imposible naman yan. Always? Well, life is not always good, right? How can I rejoice always? I can rejoice sometimes. That's more realistic, di ba? Rejoice sometimes. Because sometimes lang things are going well. But why have to rejoice always? Because the Bible is saying that no matter what happens to you, you should be looking for the gratitude in the situation. Look for the beauty in the situation. Look for what's right rather than what's wrong. Pray without ceasing. Do not get tired. Do not get weary in doing the right thing. And verse 18, in everything, not in only some things, in everything, give thanks. Be grateful, be thankful for the bad times and the good times too. For this is the will of God in Christ Yeshua for you. Now, did you notice that that's the will of God? The will of God is that we will be grateful. Why did God say that? That He wants us to always be grateful. Because the answer is, God always wants us to be happy and healthy. Because the happiness and the healthy is in the mind. You make yourself happy based on how you think. You make yourself unhappy or unhealthy by the way you think also. So, Zig Ziglar, how many of you know Zig Ziglar, motivational speaker? He quotes Hans Seil, a psychologist. He said, Hans Seil said, gratitude, maybe you might want to write this down. Gratitude is the healthiest emotion. He's a doctor of the mind, a psychiatrist. And actually, they have done studies of people who are not grateful and people who are grateful. Their brain waves and the heart is different. Parang ganito, I wish I could show you a PowerPoint. Yung brain waves ganito, yung heartbeat ganito, it's jagged. But once you are grateful, sabay sila. The brain waves and the heart sabay. And that's the reason why you are more present. When you're in a beautiful state, you're able to achieve more, you're able to be productive. Pero kung you are pissed off, for suffering, it's like this. So you're not really in your best. So really, it has really an effect. Scientifically, there are charts to prove that. So God wants us to always be in a positive, beautiful state as much as possible. Now let me ask you, what is the single most important decision in life? It is this. Are you committed to being happy no matter what happens to you? Difficult question, right? That's an important decision which you need to make on a moment-to-moment basis. The question here is, are you committed to being happy no matter what happens to you? Because many of us are committed to happiness when something good happens. But when something doesn't go my way, I'm not going to be happy. So, when you commit to enjoying life, not only when everything goes your way, but also when everything goes against you. When injustice happens, when someone mistreats you, that's hard. When you lose something or someone you love, when nobody seems to understand or appreciate you, no matter what happens, can you be in a beautiful state? Wow. I mean, that is a very interesting question. Are you committed? Kasi ganito you can decide. No matter what happens in your life, no matter how they treat you, no matter what happens to you, you can always find happiness. How? By your expectations, your desires and preferences, adjusting that. Unless we make a decision in our mind to stop suffering and live a beautiful state, our minds will always create whatever our desires, expectation, preference, find reasons why we should not be happy. We'll always be looking for the problem. We'll always be looking for what's wrong rather than what is right. So that's the reason why God reminds us in 1 Thessalonians 5:18, in everything give thanks. Can you give thanks in trials? Many of us will say no. I cannot thank God for trials. I cannot thank God. It's bad. But try to find the good in it. One, it will teach you that you are not perfect. Second, it will teach you that others are not perfect. Third, it will teach you to have compassion on others. And fourth, compassion on yourself. Sometimes we really are hard on ourselves or hard on others. and very harsh in our judgments. And we don't give ourselves mercy, we don't give ourselves, how can I do that? I can never forgive myself. So you're better than God, because God can forgive you, but you cannot. So sometimes we're harsher on ourselves, and because we are harsh on ourselves, we tend to be harsh on others. So, brethren, it's very important to remember that we are all a work in progress. We are all imperfect, we're all striving for perfection, and we have not yet achieved it. But remember this, life is too short to suffer. We're not given so much time. You don't have the luxury of a negative thought. If you think about it, maiksi na yung buhay natin. Life is too short to cause yourself to suffer mentally, psychologically, emotionally. Konti lang yung buhay, konti lang yung moments natin, no? Our moments are few. We just have a few moments in this life. It would be better if every single moment we can invest it in happiness, in being positive. Not like you're jumping for joy, you know, like a crazy person. No, I'm not talking about that. But a person who is grateful for whatever happens to his life, is thankful. Because when you're grateful and thankful, more blessings will be attracted to your life. If you are going to be thankful for what's right, you will attract more of what's right. But if you're going to complain about what's wrong, you will attract more of the same. You have more problems to be complaining about if you're like that. So be thankful for the less blessings that God gives to you, and you will have more to thank Him for. So, I have a scripture to share with you here. Where is that? Philippians 4. Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. Now this is very important, itong scripture na to. I'll explain later why. Paul was in prison, remember, when he wrote this. He was not free. He was in prison, behind bars, when he wrote Philippians. But he wrote this wonderful passage, Philippians chapter 4, in verse 13. Let's begin in verse 11. And this is so instructive, so instructive. It says, Paul writes, "Not that I speak in regard to need, for I have learned in whatever state I am." He's talking about the circumstances that he's faced with. Parang he has made a decision in his mind. I'm going to be happy regardless of whether I'm in prison or out of prison. I'm going to make a decision to be happy whether I have a lot to eat or very little to eat. I'm going to be happy regardless of how they treat me, whether they treat me well or they treat me poorly. I will not let what they do affect what I think. I am in control of what happens to my state. Regardless of what they do, regardless of what they say, it will not change me. I will still be who I am. I will still be Paul. They cannot make me someone different. I am who I am. Because of what Christ gave to me, that's who I am. And they are not about to change who I am. They're not about to change my happiness. His happiness is fixed. And that's the decision we also need to make every day. He said here, not that I speak in regard to it, but I have learned. It's something that he has to learn. In whatever state I am, to be content. That means to be grateful and happy for what's right. And I know how to be abased. He knows how to adjust his expectations. He knows na okay lang maskin maputo ang internet. It's okay if we don't have internet for 14 hours. Who cares? We can connect after. Di ba? Why do I have to have internet? The people before time of Rizal did not have internet. They were accomplished people. And then how come all of a sudden we need to be connected all the time? So parang it is an expectation thing. And it was a mental thing. So I know how it is to be abased. I know how it is to abound. In other words, I know how it is to be connected to the internet. I know how it is not to be connected to the internet. I know how it is to have Facebook. I know how it is not to have Facebook. So at whatever state I am, in everywhere, in all things, I have learned both to be full and both to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. Verse 13, I have learned, or I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So his sense of peace, his sense of security, did not lie in any external situation, but in who He is in Christ. So that's the same thing with us, brethren. We can be grateful and happy because of what Christ has given us, which is eternal life. So our state doesn't have to depend on the situations around us. So that's what I'd like us to remember. The single most decision in our life will be, are you committed to being happy and grateful and content no matter what happens to us? If we have a lot, if we have a little, if people treat us well, if people treat us poorly, whatever happens, we can be grateful and content. So, in conclusion, I'd like to share with this. Can you commit to this? I just want to ask you this. Can you commit to this? Can you commit in your heart and in your soul right now? Please do this, okay? To find something to appreciate in every moment. It might be hard for you, right? Mahirap. Some of you, wala man akong makita to appreciate. Everything's going bad in my life. But think hard again. Think again. Is your heart beating? Are you breathing? You might think, I wish I would stop living. I wish my heart would stop beating. I wish I would stop breathing. It would be better that if I were dead. Maybe we feel that way. We feel like life is so hard on us that we don't want to live another day, another hour, another minute. But remember, brethren, there is always something to appreciate. The people that, some of us don't care about ourselves, but we care about the people we love. Some of us are willing to risk our life, but we don't want other people to suffer, the loved ones. We care about our loved ones. We don't want them to suffer. Buti na, tayo na lang mag-suffer, wag lang sila. So brethren, what if is something you appreciate in your life that you can be grateful for? And I'd like to share this last thought with you. Fill yourself up with gratitude. Because, let me say this again. Fill yourself up with gratitude because when you are grateful, there is no sadness. When you are grateful, there is no hurt. When you are grateful, there is no anger. You can't be grateful and angry simultaneously. You cannot be grateful and worried simultaneously at the same time. If we cultivate gratitude, we will have a different life. A totally different life. Isa lang yung point na yun, and that's the last one. I didn't mention about the first two. If you add the first two, mas maganda. Growing, improving, every day. Giving, sharing whatever blessings you have. And number three, the most important, finding what's right rather than finding what's wrong. We will always find something wrong. If we are going to look for it, madali. We can always find something. But do we have the luxury of a negative thought all our life na parang we'll be wasting our time? Instead of thanking God for the blessings, we'll always be bemoaning what we don't have, what we're about to lose, or what we will never have. Why don't we focus on what we have, what God has blessed us, and God will take care of what we will still have. So let me end with these two passages of Scripture. 2 Corinthians 4:16. 2 Corinthians 4:16. The reason why we have hope and happiness is ultimately not about this life. Kasi this life is temporary. This life will end after 70 plus years. Give or take. Depends on how much time God gives us in this life. Limited lang ang oras natin. Limited lang yung buhay natin. We don't have eternity yet. We don't have eternity ahead of sa ngayon, hindi pa. So therefore, we have to focus on this. Verse 16. 2 Corinthians 4:16. Therefore, we do not lose heart. I hope, and it's my hope and prayer that you and I will not lose heart. We won't get discouraged through the hard times. Because remember this, Even though our outward man is perishing, our body is getting weaker and older by the day. Maybe the problems are making us more older, yung wrinkles, yung mga problema natin, yung mga stress natin, it's affecting us somehow. But remember this, your inward man is not affected by that. Who you are inside. The outside can decay, but your character inside can become better. That's only what you have control over. Your body is chemical, physiochemical, it's matter. But the spirit in man is non-material. That's the reason why Paul says, the inward man is being renewed day by day. It's ageless, it's not getting older. You might be getting older, yes, chronologically, but you can be getting younger in your heart, your spirit, your emotions, your soul can be getting younger and better by the day. As you grow older, as you reach your 70s, you can be younger inside. More thankful, more grateful, more giving, more focused on growth. So sad, when you reach a certain age and you become worse than you were when you were younger. It's better na as we age, we become better as people. Nag-improve tayo. Nothing is more sad than a senior citizen na who has lived a long life and then pangit ang batasan. Parang they become a worse person than they were younger. May we not be that way. Something is wonderful when you meet an older person who is full of love, joy, peace, gratitude. Even though nag-ache yung mga katawan nila, parang they're still able to be grateful for the life that God has given to them. Even though they will live through a rough life, they had so much trials and so much problems, they can look back and say, God was with me all this time. And something inspiring about them, that they can push and share with the younger person rather than being grumpy, a grumpy old person. Now, try to be an example, an inspiration to the young by who you became after 70 plus years. So that's the wonderful challenge that we have before us. Even though our outward man is perishing, it's getting older, getting weaker, maybe getting sicker. Let our inward man be renewed day by day. Let our character be getting better every single day. For our light affliction, the trials that we face, which is but for a moment, is working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. In other words, the afflictions, the trials that we are facing is working a purpose, making us better, helping us care more, helping us to be deeper, more compassionate, and to be more sensitive to other people. Kasi without pain, you cannot empathize with other people's pain. That's the reason why God gives us pain. How can we feel the pain of others if we never experience pain? We cannot. Like, okay, sorry for you, kawawa ka naman. No. It's a genuine feeling when you know what the person went through, what they're going through. So we can be more compassionate and we can comfort them more. While we do not look at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporary, but the things which are not seen are eternal. So we focus on the things that we cannot see, which is the inside. Because that is eternal. The things we can see are physical. Mawawala rin yan. Our hair, our face, our body, it will all decompose. But the spirit will not decompose. What we are inside. Finally, brethren, Philippians 4:8. Last scripture. Philippians 4:8. I'd like to encourage us, brethren, in the midst of problems, in the midst of trials, we will always have problems, we will all have pain, we will all have hardship. We cannot escape this world of Satan. We're still in Satan's world, by the way. We cannot be looking at our garden and say, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds. We have to face reality. Okay, there's weeds, there's problems. We're not fooling ourselves that everything's positive. No, there is problems, there is trial, there is hardship. But where do you focus your attention? Philippians 4:8. Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, the word of God, whatever things are noble, the way of God, whatever things are just, the plans of God, whatever things are pure, the heart of God, whatever things are lovely, God Himself, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue, character, wonderful qualities. And if there's anything praiseworthy, meditate, reflect, think on these things. Fill your mind with those things. Put it in your mind. Put it in your mind. The things which you have heard and received and heard, these do, and may the God of peace be with you.